architecture can be transformed into complex intelligent system. The architecture can be transformed into complex intelligent system capable of inherent transformations. It's a kind of mutant body which interacts with its context. The interactive architecture is a recent phenomenon that is related to the development of new technologies. In 1994, Knox, a company, Knox realized one of the first interactive architectures in Netherlands, where the projections of water and light interfered with the visitors, exposing a world of liquefaction. Such architecture, transformed into stream of information, claims its continuous metamorphosis in space and time. Architecture also reflects our time. The world as a fluctuation and stream, as a fluctuation and as a stream. However, it also reveals a condition of the being. The fluid space, being the original space, is an echo of the chaos that contains all creative forces. It is like the fluid from which our creative energies emerge. Merleau-Ponty speaks about the stream of experience in the natural attitude where the perceptions are not localized. It's a kind of a stream, a flow. Interactive architecture transforms how people inhabit space. The interactive architecture transforms how people inhabit space. What happens when space reacts to the body? When it is formed by means of physical rhythm. Our bodies are made up also of certain rhythms. Our body is a polyrhythmic bundle with its own internal rhythms, its social rhythms of the everyday. People tend to react to mobile environment in a different way than they react to static environment. Very important. Mobile environment and static environment. Their involvement with the building becomes an interaction more than a simple reaction. The involvement, so while you are watching a building, their involvement with the building becomes an interaction more than a simple reaction. The deformed space forces the individuals to react. Architectures no more imposes an identity. It creates a change. It validates the change. Architectures, the interactive architectures don't talk about a certain kind of identity, right? Like Taj Mahal has a certain identity. The Red Fort has a certain identity, right? Various architectural patterns, certain hotels have a certain kind of an identity, like the Taj has a certain kind of an identity associated with it. But interestingly, these interactive architectures express not identities, but a kind of a change, but validates this change through expression of space, expression of the body through space, through an interaction, interrelation, not only a reaction, but an interaction. Within the innovative and interactive architecture, we create ourselves by crossing spaces which change as they react to our bodies. This reminds us of the conception of the flesh of Merleau-Ponty, as the interactive architecture effaces the border between the object and the subject. The body is considered as an interlacing of vision and of movement. You are perceiving and you are moving. So we are slowly coming to this idea of motion associated with the body. As I said, to perceive space is also to perceive a sense of motion. A to B, from A to B, a kind of motion. And it is speed that validates. It is time. Speed is all about time. How fast you can go, right? How fast you can go. It's all about time. right? So when you talk about speed, you basically talk about time. So when you talk about your existence does not matter, because look at this fan. This fan will disappear. This fan having matter and so on and so forth, having a lot of matter, weight, gravity, whatever. So this fan will disappear if you allow it to move very, very fast. So if you allow it, or if you endow it with a speed that breaks the limit of your perception, which goes beyond the limit of your perception, it disappears. The existence is nullified, right? So motion and speed and the idea of appearance. So we were concerned in our Ruminations 1 about the idea of appearance. Perhaps in Ruminations 2, we'll be concerning ourselves with the idea of disappearance and the spectral more and more, and thinking about space and very different stuff, like the not of appearances, but the idea of disappearances, and the idea of speed and motion and so on and so forth, right? So it is an interactive sound architecture. You enter there, your motion creates all the kind of sound frequencies, or captures the changes in the frequencies, right? Captures the changes in the frequencies. Very important. And the changes are the expression of not only the body, but also the space that your body is meandering through. We are living in the time of the beginning of a new era of artificial life. Many architects try to erase the difference between architecture and organism. Very, very important. Erase the difference between architecture and organism by creating bio-artificial spaces. Knox presents the architecture which is swallowed up by technology, so that it becomes completely capable of absorbing and enhancing the body's rhythm, right? Absorbing and enhancing the body's rhythm. That means that body's rhythm will affect the form. Body's rhythm will affect the form of architecture. Very, very important. And conversely, it means that the form's rhythmicality will in turn activate the body. That's exactly what happens when you enter a pub or you enter a nightclub. So if you enter a nightclub, the kind of vibrant music or the vibrations the music creates. If you've ever been to a nightclub or a pub where loud music is playing, or any musical program, rock concerts perhaps, so where loud music is playing, it's a different kind of a mahol. It's a different kind of a, shall I say, environment, right? That is charged up by, shall I say, sonic vibrations, very loud sonic vibrations into which you enter. And you suddenly feel a little bubbly, and you suddenly feel a lot of exuberance inside yourself. You feel lot energized by the kind of music that permeates your senses. So you walk into a nightclub or a disc, or a rock concert perhaps, and then your rhythms of the body are activated, shall I say, by the environment and the rhythms of the environment. If we go further with this vision of architecture, we get to the organic and the robotic houses. The robotic houses, we think of them, but they too think of us. If we live in such houses, the organic and robotic houses that are emerging nowadays, it is also the houses which live us. It is the houses that live us. The houses are an expression of our bodies, and those robotic and organic houses not only live us, perhaps enjoys us, because they live on us. Their feed is the human activity and behavior. We have activated them. They are activated houses, interactive houses. Will we still say that we are at home? When the home will transform into organic living body capable of interacting with us. The task of architecture is thus more than to design and offer places where to live. We can see two ways of how architecture expresses the existence. Architecture expresses the existence. Firstly, architecture presents the existence as singularity. As singularity. Architecture includes, in a creative way, the singularity of moment, the singularity of moment of the space and of the existence, the singularity of the moment, of the space and of existence. In other words, architecture creates a poetics of the situation. Architecture creates the poetics of the situation that makes events happen, that makes that events happen. It focuses on singularity and not on homogeneity or uniformity. As Merleau-Ponty would put it, there are as many spaces as there are distinct spatial experiences. There are as many spaces as there are distinct spatial experiences. The function of architecture would be to create a unique relationship between the body and the world, to anchor the body in the corporeity of space, to anchor the body in the corporeity of space. The body of the earth relates to the physical body and vice versa. And secondly, architecture affirms the existence as the rhythm. As the rhythm. The rhythm reveals the space. The rhythm is the articulation of the breath of life. Of the breath of life. It is articulation of the existence. Rhythm articulates spatiality. Rhythm articulates spatiality. The passage of chaos in the order, the passage of chaos in the order passes by the means of the rhythm, passes by the means of the rhythm. The only adequate answer to the dizziness is rhythm, because rhythm protects against the loss of oneself. You think of yourself as an entity, as an existing entity, because you recognize certain rhythms of your being, rhythms of your existence, the body's rhythm and the social rhythms of the everyday. The architecture establishes the place, and in doing so, the rhythm of the space. Architecture creates a rhythm of the space. It is to open the existence to the universal rhythm, to harmonize it, the ebb and the flow, the seasons, the sunset, sunrise. All these are rhythms of existence. Architecture also establishes the place, and in doing so, the rhythm of the space. It is to open the existence to the universal rhythm, to harmonize it with the physical rhythm, and to create a new types of subjectivity. Think about the staircases. You go up the staircases. You have a home. You enter the home. You have certain rhythms, certain iterations and reiterations, certain differences and repetitions, certain everyday repetitions, more connected with the fluid and changeable nature. In nature, there is no negation, no opposition of opposites. The opposites live in harmony. In architecture, it validates this contradiction